It's an absolutely huge weekend for Alabama fans. The Alabama Crimson Tide's back on the road. Their destination, the very unfriendly confines of the Swamp down in Gainesville, Florida, where they will face a Florida Gator team that's being described as extremely talented. WVUA Sports Director Gary Harris has been keeping a close eye on the Tide all season long, and he joins me now with more. Gary, thanks for being with me, buddy.
I still can't get over that. Take a look at this.
Oh, I know. The whole thing.
How does some of this stuff happen?
It's unbelievable.
Well, there's sure to be some interesting things happening tomorrow night down in Gainesville.
Oh, yeah.
The Swamp is a very unfriendly place to play. Very few people win there. Alabama was fortunate enough to win there in 1999 and then lost there in 2006. But the 99 game, 40-39, we'll remember that because the week before, Alabama was beaten by Louisiana Tech, and there were already some catcalls for Mike DeBose's job, and some feel like he saved his job for that particular year by winning at Florida. Then they went on to win the SEC championship, and next year, of course, was ranked preseason number 3 in the country. We know what happened. Didn't turn out too well. 3-8.
Completely fell apart.
3-8, and DeBose was gone. But this is about this year, and Alabama, interestingly enough, is a 4-point favorite, and that is something that you will also very rarely see since Steve Spurrier kind of turned the Florida program around in the early 90s. Danny, I tell you, there's such a rare home underdog. The only time I can think of it happening has been a couple times to Florida State.
Really?
Where they were underdogs at home. I mean, you just don't see Florida getting points at home, but that is because this Alabama football team looks like it has the potential to be a complete football team. Now, is it going to be tested tomorrow night? Absolutely. You got Charlie Weiss, the offensive coordinator for Florida, who is known as a guru, much like we saw last week with Bobby Petrino. Will Muschamp, the head coach, tutored under Nick Saban. Both these coaching staffs know each other well, and Florida knows exactly what's on the line. They really have nothing to lose because if they lose the football game, it's not a division loss. People will say, well, you're underdogs anyway. So they're going to let it all hang out, Danny. Alabama, meanwhile, I do think there's some pressure on the Tide. You go into Gainesville as a favorite, a team that many are saying right now is one of the favorites to win a national championship. And, I think Alabama is going to have to try to respond to that, respond to playing at night. And even though the Arkansas game was such a great performance, it was at home. So tomorrow night is a big, big test. There's no doubt about it.
I've heard people compare Alabama and LSU, say they're almost mirror images of one another. On paper, Florida and Alabama look very similar as well.
Well, because the schemes are similar. You got two pro-style offenses. You got two defensive coordinators. Well, I say, Dan Quinn's actually the defensive coordinator, but he coached under Saban with the Miami Dolphins. And then one Muschamp, who like Saban somewhat is the de facto defensive coordinator. He has his handprints all over that defense. It's similar schemes there. One area that could be a difference in this game is special teams. Alabama has been outstanding in both kick coverage, punt returns, and punt coverage, but they're specialists. The kicking game, the kickers and the punters have struggled. Meanwhile, Caleb Sturgis, the Florida kicker, is having an unbelievable year. Their punter's been booming them. And also, Chris Rainey leads the nation in his career in blocked punts. So Florida can turn a game around that way, and they're going to be looking for every advantage they can get. Having said all that, if both teams play well, Alabama wins the game because they're better. For Florida to win, they need something to happen, like a blocked punt for a touchdown or some Alabama turnovers or something kind of out of the ordinary. Because if both teams go out there and play well, and it's just a typical football game, I think the Tide will come out on top.
All things being equal.
All things being equal, I think Alabama's a better team. But as we know in the Southeastern Conference, oftentimes things aren't equal. The home field, the nighttime atmosphere. Some crazy things can happen down there. Alabama's going to be without C.J. Mosley, the linebacker who is so versatile and so fast.
And would be perfect in this game.
When you're facing Demps and Rainey, you need that speed on the field. So there's some things that could happen, but unless something out of the ordinary happens, I think Alabama wins this game. Hey, some other big games tomorrow. Auburn is at South Carolina. And think about this, Danny. Last year, Auburn played South Carolina twice. They beat them down at Jordan-Hare, then clocked them in the SEC championship game. Lattimore, the great running back for South Carolina, did not go over 100 yards in either one of those games. Plus, South Carolina, wants to avenge those two losses last year. That'll be interesting to see how Auburn handles that atmosphere at South Carolina and see if South Carolina can get untracked offensively. Other than Lattimore, they've struggled a little bit. Remember Alshon Jeffrey, the great receiver?
True.
I asked you if you remember him because has he caught any balls this year?
There you go.
Garcia struggled at quarterback, so that's a big game. Also interested to see how Arkansas handles coming off that loss to Alabama, going down to Arlington, Texas, to Cowboy Stadium and playing soon-to-be SEC member Texas A&M. That's an interesting game. And then we got the Battle of the Bulldogs over in Athens. Mississippi State, so much promise preseason, but then lost to Auburn, lost to LSU, had to go to overtime to beat Louisiana Tech. Now they're going to Georgia, where Mark Richt is fighting every week for his job. So that's an interesting ball game there. Ole Miss, who can't seem to get anything right now. Listen to this.
They are struggling.
They're going all the way out to California to play Fresno State. That is a dangerous game for Ole Miss. And if Ole Miss loses that one, it wouldn't shock me one bit if Houston Nutt is removed as head coach at some point during the season.
That could be all she wrote. All right. That's about all she wrote for us. We're out of time, but real quick, high school sports tonight.
Yeah, football Friday tonight at 10:35. And, of course, we have our Fearless football picks at 5. We'll have Alabama leaving to go to Gainesville tonight at 6. An Alabama-Florida preview at 10. So we got you covered all night long.
All right. Thanks, Gary. Don't forget, you can get your game day started bright and early right here on WVUA TV. Join Gary Harris and John Huddleston for Crimson Tide Kickoff, presented by Alpha Insurance, Saturday at 8 a.m.